Hey, welcome back to the Waffle Press TV Hangouts. I'm your host, Diego Crespo, and with me I have...
And Mighty Sophia.
How are you doing today, Sophia? I'm kind of exhausted, a little excited. We've been behind on some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. shenanigans, but
Yes.
how are you doing?
I am doing delightfully. It is nice to not be working at the moment and to be exploring all things fictional, which has pretty much been the entirety of my evening since I got home, is trying to find out what's going on in movie and TV land, which has been a very active realm lately.
Yeah, I was just about to lay down for like 5 minutes and then, oh, Spider-Man news as per usual. So the
Yeah.
universe has confirmed that it is raging a war against my sleeping schedule, which I can live with, but we're not here to talk about TV stuff, unfortunately. Maybe we'll talk about, movie stuff. We're here to talk about TV stuff. God, this is how tired I am. I'm mixing up movies and TVs and it's the worst.
It's all getting conflated. Just I completely understand though, because I go into my Twitter feed, as I know you have, and it all just kind of commingles and becomes one great big giant sucking black hole of everything happening. So I feel you. I feel you indeed.
Yeah. Well, now I believe we have missed a couple episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So,
Two.
two. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. This is why you're my cohort.
I try.
So I guess we should just break them down real quick then, because overall, what are your thoughts on the two episodes? I missed the first name of the first episode, but I remember the last episode was called Frenemy of My Enemy.
Because that was a play on another title that they had previously, correct? Or no, there's like Face My Enemy was the name of one of the episodes they had, which is why the Frenemy of My Enemy thing kind of stuck in my brain. But yeah, so this, of course, I just watched this week's episode, so it's very much fresh in my mind still. But I think what was really important about what happened this week in particular was how it's sort of bringing all of these seemingly disparate plot points and struggles that are going on and places everybody in the exact same place, like all the different parts of the story are converging against Hydra, which has been kind of a dormant threat for the past few episodes because, you know, they've been focusing so heavily on setting up the realm of the Inhumans and then of the actual S.H.I.E.L.D. versus Coulson versus the world. You know, they've had that as kind of the central dynamic. Coulson's off doing his own thing. And I mean, there's so much to talk about from this episode alone, much less even the past one in which we finally got to see the Johnson family come together, which was cool. So we had a lot of really emotional moments and of course amazing performances from Kyle MacLachlan, who is just a pleasure to watch. And I mean, in this week in particular, he had just this childish giddiness about him that stood in such stark contrast to the threat that was converging on them as Cal is trying to walk back through the memory lane that doesn't exist, and ice cream and pastries, and let's go to my office, let's do this. This is exactly how I would have raised you. This is the school you would have gone to. This is the science fair project we would have done. Don't you love volcanoes? Don't you love ice? Like, and just going in all these circles like happy little puppy, or not so much puppy, but pit bull, as they say in the episode. So I love Cal. Like, certifiably crazy as he is, I adore him, and he makes the show, which I'm already loving, that much more watchable and engaging and scary because of just his sheer volatility, which is something that Sky recognizes full well. But man, I'm trying to like think of really where to begin because so much is happening, but now, like with where we've left off, Hydra has Lincoln, the other Inhuman guy with the whatever is going on, like the sort of energy something zappy mabob. I forget.
Yeah, it's like kind of like Electro, but already better written. You know,
Yeah,
like I don't know. So maybe something. I assumed it was electricity for some reason, even though in the previous episode he had levitated Sky, and I don't know how
Right.
electricity does that.
Yeah, maybe it's like the electrons in the body, or I don't know, but
Yeah, I fail like all my science classes, so I'm the wrong person to ask about this.
no, it's all good. Yeah, but Hydra now has Lincoln and Deathlock, which I had a feeling. I mean, Deathlock is just so OP. I knew that somebody was going to get him, or he was going to get apprehended or taken down in some way. So they're with Hydra now. Ward and Agent 33 are kind of living outside of the law, as it were, although Coulson ropes him into this whole sort of alliance that they have to go up against Hydra. Now, I realized coming into this episode that I was actually a little bit unclear on what had happened with Ward last, just because so much has happened with him, and he's just he's a very nebulous figure now. Of course, nobody in the group trusts him, and I think that's going to fuel a lot of interesting dynamics, and we see quite a few twists and turns as Coulson tries to employ him and then sees everything go spiraling out of control. But he's very ill-defined, which is interesting to behold. And it will also be interesting once Coulson actually goes back to the S.H.I.E.L.D. base and they break all of this down, because I have to say that I'm really excited for it all to come together and to have this big momentous push, because we've been so all over the place, not in a bad way, just in terms of there is so much to do and so much material, which I'm really glad the show has tapped into. But it's exciting now that physically everybody is kind of occupied the same space, like Coulson and his merry men, and what's left of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Sky, the Inhumans, and Hydra. It's all connected. And I'll be interested to see, too, how they kind of lead into Age of Ultron. But I think that's kind of what they're trying to gear up for. So I'll shut up now and let you give your thoughts.
No, you give good thoughts. If you didn't, I'd be like, well, hang on, I want to speak too. But no, you're good. You're good. This is why you were my co-host. Yeah, this is a cool little batch of episodes. The last episode was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
They both are pretty fun, but the way everything kind of manifested with all these differing factions coming together accidentally, but organically through a writing process, like it felt natural to the show, where this is the first confrontation for everybody. And I feel like the season's obviously headed that way. Like all these different factions, again, just gonna keep smashing into each other like this random chaos that is the Marvel universe right now. It's just exploding like on the big screen, obviously. And I think they do have a hand in some setting up some Easter eggs for Age of Ultron, which I get to see twice before it premieres next Friday, and I'm gonna brag about that so long. But, of course, back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The Kyle MacLachlan is just crushing it on this show. He's such fun to watch, but so chilling. Like he can go off at any second. Him and Ward, I kind of find a lot of similarities between them. Like Ward isn't that crazy, but he's a calm, calculated kind of crazy. Kyle MacLachlan's character, Cal, is just he's the Hulk, but evil, like Red Hulk, I guess.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, he's like, I can't wait for him to go off, but he also very much loves Sky. And it is kind of sad to see him go through that, what could have been had their family stayed together.
Yeah.
That was very touching to me. And then Ward obviously appearing on the monitor when Gemma and May finally tap into Deathlock's programming, as they get to see what's happening, and they're like, "Oh, here's Coulson. Oh my God, he's Agent Ward." The worst possible things are colliding into each other plot-wise for the characters, and it's so fun because now we get to see them get torn down and have to build themselves up even more. And I honestly don't know where the season's headed in a good way. Like I sometimes am cautious about when a show is venturing into the unknown, or a movie. Sometimes it feels like the writing isn't leading me down the proper path. But here I feel confident, and like the writing feels confident, the characters feel confident. I wanted more Fitz the last episode, but I will take it. I will take it. That's like my minor complaint for that. Yeah, I just wanted more fits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Deathlock, I think, obviously is going to belong to Hydra for a little bit, and maybe the Inhuman dude is going to be brainwashed or something too. Like,
Yeah.
I'm very fascinated to see how these. I think it's four. Okay, you got the Inhumans, you got S.H.I.E.L.D, the real
Mm-hmm.
S.H.I.E.L.D, and Hydra. How they're
Yeah.
all going to just come together and form this great cluster cuss of a finale, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
even sooner. I don't know. Maybe the finale will just be a quick other curveball tossed in there. Maybe they'll fight like Patton Oswalt or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm loving it. These
Mm-hmm.
episodes are highly entertaining, and I
Definitely.
thought the action was actually pretty cool too. It was a lot
Yeah.
of fun watching. Deathlock's always fun to just take out dudes left and right. Even he's
Mm-hmm.
super OP, super overpowered.
Yes.
And watching Ward team up with Coulson's like, oh, kind of like old times, but at the same time, Coulson wants to kill him. So let me ask
Mm-hmm.
you a question: do you think Coulson is going to stick to his word and let Ward walk away with a clean slate if he, makes him go through the Tahiti project?
Yeah, like that's what I'm trying to figure out because the whole Tahiti thing came completely out of the blue to me. I was sort of taken aback when he proposed that even. Um and what's crazy with Coulson is that while I have not for a moment like distrusted him in terms of thinking that maybe he is capable of something great and sinister, like, yeah, he's kind of the keeper of a lot of secrets, especially now that he is the director of a shield that is not recognized by the other shield as shield. But he's become very unpredictable in a lot of ways. And it's always interesting to see him whenever he's placed in a position where he has to make a choice because we're just like, how do you, as Phil Coulson, how do you choose anything at this point? With the rest of your team so shattered and all over the place. I mean, I think that we're going to see them all kind of converge when he comes back and explains whatever he can and they go after the immediate threat of Hydra. It takes a common enemy to bring everybody together. So we'll just have a little family time. But I have no idea. Like, to be honest with you, I have no clue what their relationship is going to result in and what's going to happen when Phil gets what he wants, because Ward has, he told Agent 33 that they were going to get what they wanted out of Coulson. And so it's almost like it's not like it's a mutually beneficial relationship per se, because there's still kind of this exploiting factor. It's like I don't know. They're circling one another, two predators, and the question is who's going to strike first and how, because it's all become very emotional at this point too, what with the whole betrayal factor to consider and all the atrocities that occurred on Ward's side. So I have not the slightest as far as what Coulson is going to do. I don't know.
I kind of feel like he's lying because,
Yeah.
again, the Tahiti thing came out of the blue. Like, I'm pretty sure that was all destroyed in that, like, season 1.
Yeah, like I don't see how that's even plausible. It's almost like it almost feels like it's more of a metaphor of sorts. Like he has this kind of thing like, oh, that this was concrete. Um but yeah, because you think about all the things that he went through going through that project, and like, is it even a thing and what would happen? Like, I don't even know. That was just quite a throwback. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's kind of lying, and I think there was another Whedon show which is still on Netflix, Angel. Everyone watch it. I thought they were gonna be gone, Buffy and Angel, but they're still there. So
Ooh,
maybe they just forgot to take them off. So nobody tell them. Yeah, there's a bit where someone makes a deal with the devil type of thing, like
Mhm.
Coulson just did, and
Yeah.
then at the end, I won't even mention what show it is because it's a great little scene, tragic but great.
Mhm.
And they tell the character like, like, all right, thanks for the help. and then the good, like a good guy who you would never expect, who never handled a weapon in the show ever before, betrays the previous villain because he's like, you're too dangerous. You can't be allowed to live. You're a
Ooh.
monster type of thing. And
Yeah.
I'm getting that feeling that it's going to happen here too. And
Hmm.
I would think that'd be a nice tragic send off for Ward, even though he's a complete like psychopath. It'd be like,
Right.
oh well, he tried. You tried. You failed, but you tried.
Yeah, that's true. And also something I have to say before we move on to the next subject, something that kind of hit me is a little bit of subtext in the show. I was kind of thinking about the parallels between Coulson and Sky's mother, Jia-Ying. Is that how you pronounce it?
I believe so.
Um, yeah, but because with Jia-Ying, or I'll just, to be safe, I'll just say Sky's mother because I don't want people yelling at me if I mispronounce it. But so she makes this choice and is resolved to, in her mind, send Kal away, sort of almost in a way that reminds me of what Coulson did with Sky, actually. So when you think about it, I don't know, this is just something that I was considering. There's sort of a parallel that's now drawn between Sky and her father, because they have both been like sent away kind of for their own good. And I think maybe that's something that kind of fuels Sky's choice to go and spend this time with her father. You know, because we don't get a lot of transition between the whole happy family dinner session and then her actually going through with this and trying to stand up against her mother and kind of the coldness of this banishment. But yeah, so I think that even though there's so much that's going on in the show, we get to see these parallels between different characters and getting to see these, you know, the frenemies of enemies and all these dynamics. But there's something that kind of pervades all of these different things and brings them together in a way that we maybe haven't seen previously in the show. So that's just something that I thought of. So
No,
do with
that's
that
an
what you
interesting
will.
thought. Yeah, I didn't even
Yeah.
make that connection, but given how little time there was between
Yep.
Sky and her father before she's like, "I'll join you on this day, your last day." Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that makes a lot more sense because it did feel kind of like a rushed development
Right.
initially to me, but that with that context in mind, that
Hmm.
it's more fitting. I like that. I'm gonna assume that's what their plan was because
Yeah.
that's
Let's
good.
go with
Yeah.
that.
I'm. Yeah, I guess that pretty much wraps it up for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Do you have any more you want to say about these episodes?
You know, I think that's just about it. I'm kind of like shoulder shrugging right now in a good way, not in a like what the crap is going on way like I am with Gotham.
I'm so sorry.
I am sorry. I stopped reviewing it on my channel and I'm just gonna wait and do a finale review. It's that yeah. If you ever go through and watch that show, the first half is way better than the second half, and I don't know what's going on. But anyway, that's just my personal tragedy. I'm liking what's going on right now. It is uncertain in a good way.